And it's me, is the one, the only, the Paul Franz, welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight, you've got me, of course, and you've got Dave and Russ. Actually, Russ happens to be here early. Thank you, Russ, for showing up. Because always, the more the merrier. I always like to see your wonderful. Well, I say face, but it's not really a face. It's just text on the screen. How he's doing. How he's going. But yep. So actually tonight, I was going to do learning about teaching, basically Starfleet Warlord. But I totally forgot about one thing I wanted to do this week, which was a quick review of the new minis that came out at the beginning of this month, i.e. last Thursday. I didn't have time last Thursday to go through it. I just did a quick rundown. I was like, oh, here they are. But has been my thing as of late. I have been actually doing a quick review of the latest and greatest minis. Just a quick, thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing. So we'll go over that real quick. It'll probably take 10 minutes, maybe 15. It's a very small group this week. Let me just switch over to that, because what we've got, and if you're on the stream, you can see this. We've got, as I mentioned last week, we've got the Federation Classic Heavy War Destroyer, both in the 3125 and 3788 scale. We've got the same, well, not the same, but we have the Federation Heavy War Destroyer, which is not the classic, but again, 3125 and 3788 scale. And then the Romulan Seahawk A frigate, 3125 and 3788. A young female Space Dragon Omni scale. And the Federation Classic War Destroyer Scout, big surprise. Again, same size as the previous Classic War Destroyer, and same for also the War Destroyer, Federation War Destroyer Scout, same thing. Moving on to the Zinti built War Destroyer, which is cool, 3125 and 3788. Tholian Heavy Command Cruiser, I like the Tholians, 3125 and 3788. The Lyran Linus Heavy Cruiser, 3125 and 3728. The LDR Linus Heavy Cruiser, only 3125. And the refitted Linus Heavy Cruiser, which is only the 3788. So those are the new ships for this month. And also, Steve Cole did mention, I forgot to mention as part of those initial ones, that is the Zinni Escort Frigate, both 3125 and 3788 scales. Sorry. So we're going to do a quick review. Okay, big surprise here. If you're looking at the wonderful stream, you can see the Escort Frigate with I'm sorry, this, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it's showing on the Ustream live feed, which is the special sensor looks really goofy. Well, you know what it looks like? It looks like one of those air horns, the air sirens, those things. That's what it looks like. That makes it look kind of goofy. I'm not sure what you can do. I really don't. Sure what you can do. It might be just because of the scale that you can't do something that looks a little more like a saucer. More like more like a radar dish, and less of an air horn. But that's, as I said, thumbs up, thumbs down. This is like, Overall, I don't think it's the greatest of the miniatures. We have, of course, the refitted Linus Heavy Cruiser. Of course, it has the Aztecing, which I think for the Lyran is pretty cool. uh, it's more to me. It's more like, would I buy it? Probably not, because for some, okay, on this heavy cruiser, actually I don't like the Aztecing all that much. Maybe it's because you have the Aztecing here, and then you have these here. You got the the main center engine, and then you have the ones that are on then the cells that are on the sides of the wings. And the ones on the wings, I don't know, they look, I don't know, it's have not don't have the greatest, in my mind, the greatest design. Now they've got the LDR Linus, which doesn't have the Aztecing, which I think for this looks much better because of, yes, you saw the same wonky nacelles for the wings, for the right and left side. But without the Aztecing, I think it gives it more detail. Instead of having so much detail that it just becomes a jumbled mess, which is, I think, is what occurs with the Aztecing. Looks like yeah, looks like the 3788 scale is for the Lyran Linus, also is without Aztecing. And again, I kind of like it for this ship. It's pretty much, it looks like a lot like the LDR Linus. I'll actually probably be surprised that there isn't much of a difference. Now we get to the Tholian heavy cruiser, which overall I kind of like these, these triangular shaped pods kind of things that the Tholians, they were basically PC ships, police cruisers that they welded together. And I like the way these work. I think it really is a nice design. Definitely thumbs up on this. I really like it. Moving onward and forward. Of course, we have the Win Zinti built. And actually, this doesn't look that bad. My guess is because of the air horns. That's what they look like. Are smaller compared to the rest of the ship. I think that's the biggest issue I have with the escort frigate, is that it's just so big on top. These are more like little ears versus this big air horn. I like the way the the nacelles are attached to the back end of the War Destroyer. I like the way these are, with the angles here. I think that angular, having both up and down, I really like that. You know, Overall, I think it's a really cool ship. Um, I'm debating on this, the big bulbous head of the Zinti. I know it matches what it is on the SSD, but I guess I would like to see it stretched out a little bit, less bulbous, a little more stretched out. A little more. I'm not gonna say sleek because I don't want sleek. I just want it a little more stretched. I think is what I would like to see, but that's me. I'm assuming people like it this way. Okay, you got the. Oh yeah, now we get into these, which are kind of cool. Which is the big surprise. This is the Federation, the War Destroyer Scout. What makes it a Scout? These little suckers here, probably over here, and I'm assuming the bottom two. Let me just see if I can bring that up. Yeah, down below too. Now, I think the one down below, I think that's standard. It's not because it's a Scout, but it's just because it's a destroyer. Because let's go to just the regular War Destroyer. Here it is. Okay, now this looks like the worst score scout. Let's go here. No, actually. Is this a scout again? Yes, a scout. Huh. Okay. This is this is more of the classic design. Yeah, basically, I'm pretty sure it's just in the cells. Unfortunately, I don't see Matt here tonight. Yeah, let me just look at participants for a moment. Yeah, I don't see Matt. I'm actually saying that those are spotlights. No, on the police cruiser like the Crown Victoria. Yeah, interesting way of putting it. Scroll up. Yeah, because I think this one's just a regular War Destroyer, which is weird. Because Heavy War Destroyer, big surprise. It's got the 4 nacelles, and as you could see, I'm bringing up the 3D model where you actually can look at it, just so that we can more easily see it. Because there's a special sensor, well, the sensor array on the bottom, but you still have the 4 nacelles, which is kind of cool. I think that's the classic and the regular one. Okay, that's a scout. Darn it. Because that's the worst story how scout, right? Just make sure. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. That's a heavy water destroyer. Okay. Versus the classic water destroyer. Let me just. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we had both the heavy water destroyer and the water destroyer scout, which is a little different when it comes to the number of nacelles. The war destroyer only has 3 nacelles. The heavy war destroyer has 4. Okay, the normal Seahawk. This actually is no big surprise here. It's a perfectly fine ship. I almost consider this kind of Aztecing like, but I think in this case it actually gives it some detail that otherwise you would not see. I otherwise would be very, very bland. Okay, I think the rest. Yeah, the rest are okay. I'll look at the classic heavy water destroyer. And I'm just checking to see what's the difference between the two because I honestly don't know. Oh, okay. I think I know what it is. I'm looking at the bottom, the cells. I think that's where it really defines itself. There's the classic. No, I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I think maybe it's lines, on the saucer. I'm sure someone will come screaming at me, going, "No, it's this, you idiot!" So if you want to call me an idiot, please email me at sfuoncall@gmail.com. And therefore, you can tell me why I'm an idiot and don't know what the differences are. Because at the moment, the only thing I see is mainly right here, which is the saucer for the quote unquote new versus the classic. Looks like the new one has the lines on the saucer, and the classic you don't see the lines. There's something else. Please tell me because I don't see anything else myself. Okay, with that is the mini review for this week. And let me switch over to that. Let's switch over to the chat room. So now I'm going to talk about something. Well, of course, I'm going to talk about something. What I'm going to talk about actually is learning Starfleet Warlord. Now, again, through the grace of God and the opportunities that He affords me, I had one of those opportunities to actually teach someone to play Starfleet Warlord. I start to teach someone about Starfleet Warlord and answer questions about it, because here's the gotcha, my dear sweet friends. And that is, I've never played I was gonna say I've never played Starfleet Warlord. Actually, I've played like 2 or 3 turns of Starfleet Warlord before I actually took over for Bruce Grawl. Bruce Grawl actually ran a few turns for me just to introduce me to the game, which is quite cool. And I think it's a neat game where it's like a 4G, but overall, and of course, one of the big things of Starfleet Warlord is diplomacy and interaction with other players. This is not one of those single player games. It's not really designed to be a single player game. Now, the one thing I did do for this person that I was teaching, same guy I was teaching SFB the other week, and that is I created what's called a learning game. A learning game is basically a 3x3 game where you're surrounded by monsters / pirates, NPC corporations. So the whole idea was just to have them, start out with a plain simple sector. There will be a monster in your home sector, like a normal game. So you can kill him you don't even have to leave your sector at all if you don't want to. But also, the whole idea is that it's going to teach you what to do and not to do before you actually get yourself killed. And in this case, it would be required. You would basically lose money, because it's currently I'm this learning game. I'm running it for free. Is what I'm doing. It's relatively easy, and the tough part about any game is setting up takes a bit of time. Now, obviously, that's one thing I probably should look into, which is to see if there is a easy way to automate that process so I can create games relatively quickly. And if I keep doing these learning games, I will definitely be doing that. And that's something I'm going to actually post up to see if anyone's interested in a learning game. And I'll describe what it is. And basically, it's for new people, not for people who have played for a while. It's for new people. Now, I'm going to do is I'm going to read the introduction into Starfleet Warlord, just so that we can have kind of a common theme. Okay. Now, Starfleet Warlord is a game that's set within the Starfleet universe, a comprehensive game universe, including such games as Starfleet Battles, Federation Empire, and Starfleet Missions, Prime Directive, and other games. What has made the games of Starfleet universe so successful is the detailed historical background, which is consistent throughout all the games. Obscure and irrelevant roles in one game are reflected with considerable impact in the other games. Historical episodes in one game create opportunities and limitations in other games. Players switch back and forth between games in considerable ease, since the same thing works the same way with limits, whatever game it appears in. Starfleet Warlord, however, is not a historical game. Set within the virtual reality of the Starfleet universe, based on a fictional event within this fiction. And why 216? So the fictional history goes. Tri-video producer Olivet Roche created a massive 24-episode miniseries entitled Warlords of the Cloud. In this miniseries, Miss Roche postulated a struggle to explore the Greater Magellanic Cloud 20 years in her future. Being a dramaticist rather than a scientist or a soldier, and having perhaps rather exaggerated view of the secret intelligence services of the Federation, other races, empires should be. Sorry, Gene. She took considerable liberties with reality, creating fictional events, people, and technology. For example, the entire concept of warp gates existed only in her miniseries and not in the quote-unquote real universe. So as to play rather fast and loose with the political history, postulating squadrons of renegade Andromedan and LDR ships that never existed, and turning the computer simulated frac ships into real computer-manned warships. Olivet assumed that the corporation would exploit the peaceful and otherwise happy inhabitants of the various planets of the GMC, most of which looked remarkably alike, even when from radically different planets. That's fiction for you. This was apparently intended to make the point that regardless of their actual appearance, they were alike in being exploited. And goes forth and so on and so on. Now, when it comes to Starfleet Warlord is an asynchronous game where it's considered a play-by-email campaign. So that what happens is that you would submit your orders, and you submit your orders, and then you get the results at a later point in time. Currently, I'm trying to keep up with the learning game, which is relatively it's small. It's a single person. That means as soon as that Justin gets in his turn, I can process it and send it out. And right now, it's a single day turnaround, which I'm sure some people in Starfleet Warlord community are screaming, "We'd like to have that in our games." Yeah, well, if you can get everybody in a game, all 8 to 16, maybe more players, all to do that, single day turnaround, that'd be great. I'd be happy. I'd still be charging them the same amount of money, $4 a turn. So I'd be able to make more money per week, which costs people more money per month, which I'm not sure people would be quite interested in doing. But at the same time, I know some people would like to have a more consistent turnaround, where people actually turn their orders in time, and then we can just continue on, 2 weeks, a nice pace. So, there are some obvious things that the Starfleet Warlords need to be done, and I have not done so far. Number one, I need to learn the rules, because when I was being asked these questions by Justin, I'm realizing I don't know a lot of these rules. Some of them are, and it's not even about not knowing the rules. Some of it, I don't know some of the concepts. For example, legendary officers. According to the rules, let me just See if I can get this. I think that's section 4.1. Nope, I'm wrong. Let me just look at. It's 4.16. Okay. So this is 4.1, 1.6, not 1. Okay. Because it says at the beginning, legendary officers are individuals who do some inherent skill or ability, truly excel in their particular job. Each turn, you will locate one or more legendary officers for future use by your corporation. This happens automatically with no effort or cost on your part. At the start of the game, you will be provided one officer of each type except the captain. That's part of the initial corporation setup. Officer normally signs the ship, but it keeps on going, describing this. Now, I'm not sure if Warlord actually you get each turn you get added to your pool a legendary officer or what. See, this is the kind of stuff that I don't know that I really should know. So that's one of those things. So I really need to I need to read through these rules and understand some of the concepts overall so that I can actually describe things. I've obviously currently one thing that I just did for Justin was actually I allow them to join the Starfleet Warlord group because I actually have the group kind of locked down. You have to request to join the group, and I have to then go and agree to let you in. The whole idea there is that I'm super, super cautious about spammers because the only reason I'm really cautious about spammers is because of the previous unmoderated, unregulated forum that was used for Starfleet Warlord become a freaking trolling ground of crap. Now, at the same time, I think part of that can be blamed on that it did not require a actual user account to post. So, which obviously that automatically just invites trolling and crap. While, the Starfleet Universe discussion board and Facebook both require a quote unquote identity, of some sort. Does it have to be a true identity? No. Actually, Facebook says that they do, but they don't really. If you can actually, I could probably create an account called John Smith. And as long as I logged in as John Smith, I could do whatever I want and not really have to verify that I am John Smith. Because my name is not John Smith, for those you out there who don't know. So, but I let them in because there's a lot of people there who are a lot more knowledgeable about Warlord than I am, and I'm the guy running it. Now, there are certain questions that are not even answered by the rulebook. And those are only answered by looking at the engine code. That is going to be the way it is for certain things, because certain things are not meant to be known up front. Some of it I've revealed when people ask about it, like how and early on when I took over. Here's the thing. It's driving me crazy about running Starfleet Warlord, because if a player gets an aberrant result, i.e., that's like, that should not happen. Overall, I will have to agree with you that overall, when it comes to the percentage chance of that occurring, is very small, but it is a valid result. It is possible that this could happen, i.e., you have a opponent who has less ships, less BPV, less attack. Sorry, not BPV. Less attack factors. Smaller defense factors, and they could still win. There is that possibility. Is it probable? No. Could it happen? Yes. And that was one thing I got. This is one person that plays Starfleet Warlord was complaining about. It's like, I should have beat him. I was, I was, like, what was it, like 10%, 10 or 20% above him when attack versus defense. So I should have won. In theory, yeah, you had a better chance of winning than he did. Is it automatic guarantee that you will win? No, it's not. Because part of it is there are randomness applied to each and every attack. It's not flat out, okay, you have the more attack factors versus your opponent, and you automatically win. No, there's some randomness, i.e., die rolls, that are part of Starfleet Warlord when it comes to your attacking. Your attack is split. Your attack factor is added up and then averaged out. Averaged out. I'd have to look. It's been a while, but overall, I think it's split. It's averaged out, and then it does a die roll on each one of them. To see, okay, how much of that actually you get to attack. So is it possible that you rolled ones, i.e., the least amount of damage, and he got very little damage against him? Yes. And he rolled maximum damage against you? Yeah, it is possible. So likely? No. But in some cases, you don't need that much to defeat somebody. Just need a good round or two, and then they fall behind. You have the greater attack factor, and you could win, or you could lose, But okay, that's one thing I need to do. Is I need to learn how the things about the game. That's number one. Number two, it's come obvious to me that it's not the okay. Obviously, I have to. I have to get the aid up to date. There's some issues. I need to see how much of the orders I can add into the aid to a certain degree, because there are so many possible orders that are in the game that I know I'm gonna miss some. But what I'd like to do is actually put it out there, get as many as I can possibly get, and then release it so that people can play it, can use it, and it can actually be more accurate when it comes to identifying what orders are invalid. Nice. That's one thing I've not checked out, which is one thing with the engine. The engine, if you type in get C, as in I think it's get cloak, that's considered invalid. But I think it still runs just fine. Because otherwise, I'm sure I would have heard it. So that's nothing. I have to update the aid and release it. That's going to be a little more interesting this time because of, I forget what it is. There's a website which will validate, will check an executable to see if it actually is infected with a virus. And I was uploaded, I think I forget if I uploaded the aid or uploaded the online client. SFU online client. I'm not sure which one I uploaded, because there has been some false positives where I forget whether it was, I don't know. I don't remember which antivirus said it, but it said, oh yeah, we have this infected. And I think in some cases it sees that there's an embedded version of Java in the application and automatically goes, nope, it's infected, because there's a hidden runtime, Java runtime inside it that we don't know what it's going to do. It must be a virus. No, it's not a virus. It's just my application is a Java-based application. So that's one thing I would have to do. Another thing that I definitely noticed that I have to do is I need after I learn it, what I really should do is create some tutorials, you know, on not just how to use the aid. The aid using the aid, that's simple. That's pretty easy stuff. But obviously, actually, I think I have a couple tutorials already up there. I have to go check to see what I currently have up there when it comes to Warlord tutorials. I think I have. Actually, I'm pretty sure I don't have them on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I just have them uploaded on the website, and that's fine. Um, Obviously, that's one thing I probably also should look at, which is to see how many times it's been downloaded. Get some metrics. Now, the tough part about getting the metrics when it comes to um, MP3 files and video files is that invariably you'll get um, the kind of, it's not really a full download, but it's a partial download. And the question then in that case is it because someone's is restarting in the case of a podcast, restarting where they left off, or is it they this they there's a new session, so they're going. This is the second time they're listening to it, or is there a specific section that they were said, "Oh, you have to check out this section of the podcast." That either because of they've been their story was on that podcast. I'm talking about my wife's podcast, or or that someone else pointed out, "Oh, you got to listen to this portion because it really speaks to me," and so forth. I said, so that means I have to have it. I got to check to see what I got there, but I'm pretty sure all I got is some tutorials on how to use the aid. But I don't think that I actually have it so that it covers the whole mechanics of you know getting the entering the orders, saving the game file, emailing the game file, and then I accept the game file. In which case, I would just kind of go over that quickly to say, okay, it gets submitted. Okay, then you wait for your turn to come back, which is basically the way it works. And then after you get your turn back, okay, then you take that, you import that file again into the aid, and then you move forward on that. And obviously, and also the email itself actually has the turn report for that game, which is actually quite nice because then if you want, you can print out the turn right from any email program, which is good, So I think that's so those two things, obviously learning the rules, adding some tutorials on how to play as Starfleet Warlord would be, I think, really a good thing. Another thing is obviously if this, I'm gonna wait because Lord knows I've got to be careful about this. And that is invariably if I actually I announce, oh, this is an idea I have. And if I announce that idea to people, they automatically think, oh, you're doing it now. It's like, no, it's an idea I have that I plan on implementing in the future. And just what I'm looking for at that point is I'm looking for people to actually be interested and to see what kind of interest that I have on this idea. That's the first thing. And after that, then if I have enough interest, then I'll actually work on that idea and complete it, create a product around that idea or additional functionality around that idea. Yeah, Ross, I think Dave's still watching the game. He's watching the Steelers versus Panthers game. It's 38-14 with the Steelers winning. And this is the middle of the third quarter. So those are the kind of things that would have to work. And as I said, I have to, if everything goes according to plan, now I probably will start offering these learning games because I know I wanted to have those automated game systems. So far, it looks like that's not going to happen for this year. But if I can, at the very least, get some learning games going for those new players, to the very least, instead of having them sitting around and waiting and doing nothing, have them involved in the game, playing it, learning it without cost. Because in my mind, the important thing is to have it to be without cost. Because of if you make it cost upfront for a learning game where they're trying to learn the system, you turn them off. In my mind, the whole idea of having a free learning game is to encourage people to learn about the game, to get excited about the game. So then they go, "Oh yeah, now I want to play against somebody else." That was the whole idea of having an automated game that you could do online that actually wouldn't even require the aid. I would like to have that to be that'd be perfect. But currently that's not quite available. So but at the very least, I figure a learning game is a good compromise. It's relatively small. It's really easy to run as long as you're doing aid based turns. And I think if I was going to run any more learning games, that would be a requirement. You must use the aid. I will not have the time to enter in orders. You must use the aid to help you to create the orders that you have because the aid is there to, number one, to validate your orders. Number two, it's a tool to help you do better. Obviously there are certain things that are in the aid, especially the latest version of the aid that's currently available. It's quite a few. It's like over a year old. Pretty sure, but it has certain features like summarization, so you can tell what's the strength of your ships in the different hexes. That kind of thing, which was available in the DOS version of the aid game, aid tool, but and I added to the GUI, the Java based version a little bit later on, and I think that's important. It's one of those things that people said that they missed, which is one of the reasons why I added it. So if I can get people involved in those learning games, I think I will be able to get more people involved in the game itself. But I want to at least run this one through November, maybe, or if everything seems to be turning out okay with the learning game with Justin, I might actually open myself up to having more learning games available. There's a limited number of learning games I'll be able to physically run per per day. So what I'm thinking about overall is maybe 2, maybe 3 games I can run per day. But I think that should be enough to keep most people busy. So with that, actually, I think I'm going to draw it to a close a little bit early this evening because I don't want to draw it out, and I don't have another topic off the top of my head that I would want to discuss. We did definitely talked about the new minis and some of the good ones. Obviously, the ones I like, which is the layers without the Aztecing, and the the Tholian engine, the heavy cruiser for the Tholian. I really like that one too. And I had a nice discussion here about Starfleet Warlord itself and helping to teach people how to play Starfleet Warlord and some of the things I need to do to help encourage people to learn Starfleet Warlord and give people the best shot of actually learning this game, because I think Starfleet again, Lord knows, you guys have heard me say this so many times, and that is that I truly see Starfleet Warlord being the future when it comes to gameplay and that kind of thing, because it still has all the background material for Starfleet battles, the Starfleet universe, including um, still some of the tie-ins to Star Trek and all that kind of thing, without it trying to be a board game. It's more of a campaign. Now, um, the you know, question is turning that into like a board game of sorts, but I don't think that's in theory it's possible. In theory, it's not possible. When it comes to Starfleet Warlord overall, the biggest issue with Starfleet Warlord is the way it's the basis of it. The current basis is based on information and finding out information about the different sectors around you and the different players and where they are and things like that. That's what Starfleet. That's part of playing Starfleet Warlord versus when you have a board game, you know where people are. You can't hide them. So I'm not sure, what kind of things could be done for board game or convention play. Obviously, convention play, you could, if people have the electronic devices to do it, you actually could have them. What I think would be really cool is if people could actually submit their orders, and I could actually process them there at the convention, and then I could um, project them up on the wall and say, here, I could at the very least give people, okay, here are the standings of the current game. You know, who's winning, who's losing. Maybe give them a little more information about what's going on without giving away everything. Things like that, which I think would be kind of cool. I'm not sure if it would be doable, but it's a neat idea. So I think with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.